You know how much it costs to make it? Five. So you saw it in Florida. We have a hurricane coming. Oh, that's weird. Airline prices went through the roof because people were trying to fly to safety away from that. That's not capitalism. That's price gouging, and it's immoral. And then for all of you, those in the middle, the sandwich generation, making child care more affordable, doing a tax credit for child tax credit, making sure we have universal pre-K, then doing things like we did in Minnesota, free breakfast and lunch at our schools so kids can eat and get done. Those things. I'll make the case. Kamala Harris is providing, and those of us in the middle in that sandwich generation, I got a 18-year-old, and I've got a nearly 90-year-old. And she proposed something, and I watched. Young folks in here, I know you don't get it. It doesn't really resonate with you. Once you get 60, you really care about Medicare, I'll tell you that. You really start caring. Because Medicare and Social Security are the two greatest anti-poverty programs that we've ever implemented. They're important. She proposed something that's a game changer. Having Medicare pay for in-home care for people so they can stay in their homes. Stay in their homes. And I did not know this until I saw it with my mother using it, that Kamala's proposing, because it doesn't happen now, is that Medicare pay for vision and hearing aids and glasses. When my mom finally bought and was able to get a hearing aid, she was a hell of a lot more fun. We could hear her then. She was engaged. She was back in again. Now look, a report came out under Donald Trump that his plan would bankrupt Social Security in 6 years. He called it a Ponzi scheme. J.D. Vance said it was the biggest obstacle to fiscal sanity ever. You all know how Social Security works. We pay into it, damn it. We pay into it. And it pays back out. And I'll tell you what, if it's not there, imagine what things are like. For my family, I'm a teenager. My little brother's in elementary school. My dad dies. My mom is a stay-at-home mom. It's Social Security survivor benefits that get us through. They keep our family alive. These are tough people in Pennsylvania, tough people in Minnesota. For God's sakes, you could have moved on to California where it's warm, but oh no, you stopped here. And you stopped in Minnesota, and you carved out a life. That's what you did. But every one of us knows how to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. We didn't have any boots. That's what Social Security survivor benefits do. That's what Social Security means to seniors. But look, I'll give Donald Trump this. From his perspective, why the hell should he care about Social Security check? His dad gave him $400 million, and he's sitting down at Mar-a-Lago. He doesn't care if the Social Security check gets deposited or not. We care. You know why they want to bankrupt Social Security? Because they want to privatize it and force it outside to give the money to their Wall Street buddies. That's what they want to do. Kamala and I care about these things. My proudest moment. My proudest moment. My proudest moment. So, yay. So, I have to tell you, when I got into this, and this is for all the working folks, all the small business owners, nurses, teachers, I got into this race, and the Wall Street Journal did an analysis of our financial disclosures. And they said, damn, Tim Walz might be the poorest person to ever run for vice president. But you know what they did after that? They said, well, he's not really as poor as he looks. And like, oh, it's going to be a bombshell. Like he's hiding stocks, because they said he doesn't have any stocks. He doesn't do any of this. You know what their bombshell was? He's got a defined benefit pension plan. And I said, we all should have a defined benefit pension plan. And look, the other thing we've got is we've got the ACA. We've got Obamacare that makes sure they can't discriminate against us for pre-existing conditions. And we know one of the biggest obstacles for folks wanting to start their American dream is access to capital, especially in communities that have been underserved. That's why she's got a plan to make sure that we have money up front to start businesses. We have a $50,000 tax credit so that the tax, because just to be clear, our biggest corporations in this country are paying no federal tax. Donald Trump paid no federal tax for 10 or 15 years. When you balance and make the tax system fair, they can pay their fair share. They're doing just fine. They'll do fine. then you're able to make sure you target the tax relief at those small business owners and those folks trying to get off the ground. That's what we can do. And again, I'm going to be clear on this. This is a big issue for everybody. Home ownership, young people here trying to get into a home. Kamala's proposed, make sure we build 3 million more new units and we do a down payment, 25,000 down payment assistance to help people get into that. But let's be clear, it makes sense. That's the thing. We need to do it. But this is the one that just irritated the hell out of me. I'm sitting at a debate and they're asking about housing, housing costs and things like that. And Senator Vance says, well, the reason that housing costs are so high, the immigrants have bought all the houses. I'm like, where the hell are they getting the money from? Where is this going? But what was so cynical about that was, as a venture capitalist, he knows why this is so hard. They're buying up the houses for profit, reselling them and making profit off that. They don't see houses as homes. They see houses as a commodity like a stock to be traded on Wall Street to make money. That's why the housing prices are going up. And that's why this plan makes it easier for folks to get in their housing. And that's what we need to do. Look, the thing you do have to at least be somewhat, I guess, I'm not going to say thankful. At least they're saying the quiet part out loud now. When Donald Trump took the billionaires, had them at Mar-a-Lago where they come and kiss his feet or whatever they do, they came down there. He says to them, oh, you're all rich as hell and I'm going to give you a tax cut. He followed through with that. He did that. Now he's getting more cynical as you have to figure it out. Now he's proposing, this is his genius idea that no economist agrees with. He's going to put his Trump tax on everything. He wants you to believe that a tariff is not going to end up being a bill to you. Everybody in this room knows it's exactly going to go to you. Because what do you think? You think those companies are going to eat that? They're going to pass it on to you. They're going to pass it on to you, adding $4,000 to each and every one of you. Now, look, I think there's probably some folks in here who are probably leaning independent. Maybe some reformed Republicans who've seen the light. But they're in here. Look, it didn't used to be this way. And folks used to move. We used to kind of play amongst the 40-yard lines on things. But we don't now. We don't go amongst the 40-yard lines. And I think it's worth noting. I think it's worth noting. The Republican Party, whether it was Eisenhower or Ronald Reagan or John McCain, that Republican Party added to the country. We didn't always agree on many things, but when they talked about freedom, I think they meant it. When Donald Trump talks about freedom, it's freedom to be in your bedroom, freedom to be in your exam room, freedom to be in your library, telling you what you should read. And you've heard me say this, and I know this is the Pennsylvania one too, is things work better if you just mind your own damn business on those things. Don't look. That is not a catchphrase or a flippant thing. That is a golden rule that we all learned, and you know it's true. You stay out of other people. I don't have to agree with what you're doing in your house, but why in the heck would we ever allow a politician to make those most personal of decisions? It makes no sense. So good. When Kamala talks about freedom for you to make the choice about your health care, freedom for you to make the choice about your family, freedom for you to make the choice about your job, freedom for you to make the choice about what you read. That's what we're talking about in freedom. Now look, you heard me say it. Freedom for our seniors to retire with dignity, and for all of those folks out there, and you just think about it. We get our little ones up, and you start to get them, you take our little ones. We're going to talk. We're going to talk about freedom. We're going to talk about freedom. Freedom to protect our children from being shot dead in our schools. To everybody in here, there's a lot of issues out there, and we need to tackle them. But things like this, we can agree on. Look, I am a veteran. I am a hunter, and I'm a gun owner. I was a better shot than almost all of the folks in Congress. Kamala Harris and I, think about this. We're both gun owners. We understand that owning a firearm doesn't mean that you can't have common sense reforms that protect people. Look, I am a staunch supporter of the Constitution, unlike Donald Trump, who wants to overturn it. And part of the Constitution is I am a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. But I will not capitulate. My first responsibility is the protection of our children and our communities. Now, I'll leave you with this. Just think about this for a moment. On the cosplaying and the stuff that happens out there, Vice President Harris and I, the Democratic nominee for president and vice president, are both gun owners. The Republican nominee can't pass a background check to buy one. He cannot. He cannot. Those of you who bought a gun here, you know this. Imagine him going into Bass Pro Shop, filling out the form, and the form comes back that you got 34 felony convictions. They kick you out. They kick you out of the store. They don't sell you a gun. Because we don't want people to have guns who shouldn't have one. That's why he's on the list. Let me bring this into a little focus as we close up here. And this one I'll talk to the guys in here so they think about this. Look, think about the women in your lives that you love. Your daughters, your wives, your moms, your neighbors, for God's sakes, other folks. This election for the women in this room is literally about their lives. It is literally about their lives. If you're wondering why they continue to poll this, and Republicans are like, oh, I can't believe that abortion issues and bodily autonomy and the right to make my own decisions is so important to people. Well, it might come back to when Kamala Harris was grilling those Supreme Court justices who lied about their position on that. Who lied? She asked them, are there any laws that oversee men's rights autonomy over their own body? There aren't any. So look, he brags about what he did. He is proud that the women in your life now have fewer rights than their mothers or grandmothers had. He calls his Trump abortion bans a beautiful thing. A beautiful thing. A beautiful thing. You heard Susan talk about this. Someone wants to have a child, pregnancy goes bad, and they need to get care. They're now being turned away. In Texas, physicians can go to prison for life for that. Would this surprise you that in the most recent data, maternal mortality rates in Texas have shot through the roof? So let's just be very clear. Women are dying because of these decisions they made, and it's absolutely immoral. It's why we need to make sure when we elect Kamala Harris, we elect a House and a Senate, and we codify Roe versus Wade. Because if we don't, I said on a debate stage, and Senator Vance has many times said he wants a national abortion ban, and then they asked him, and of course the rules were we couldn't fact check, which is pretty much not a debate, it's a bullshit session is what it becomes to. But he's saying, I don't want to have, no, I didn't want that. Of course they will. And when they do that, they'll also add in there restricting your access to fertility treatments. And I've talked about this. Look, people don't want to have to talk about their personal things. My wife and I, it was personal to us. But once the Dobbs decision, when happened and Roe fell, we were super worried because we tried for years to have children. We used fertility treatments to have our beautiful daughter. I cannot imagine the pain. You don't want an elected official, certainly not Donald Trump, to make the decision whether you can have a family or not. It's absolutely, again, it's immoral, and it shouldn't stand. So for all of you, look, we're going to sign that thing back into law. We are going to make this thing happen. And so, look, 11 days, folks, 11 days. Now, I get it. When we gather like this, I am preaching to the choir. I get it. Our recital is 11 days away, choir. And all of the money that's been raised, all of the time that you've given, all of the door knocking and the phone banking, all the commercials that you're sick to hell of seeing, all of that has got to translate into that little sticker you put on that said, I voted. I voted. And I'm going to quote a famous business leader from this part of the country that I am not superstitious, but I am a little stitious, just so you know. A little bit. She saw what I did there. Thank you for that. Look, we got to finish strong. We know that. And what I would say is, you know what's coming here, folks. It's Friday night. It is Friday Night Lights, folks. This guy gets it. It's the fourth quarter. It's going to be tight. It's the fourth quarter. We have got the best team on the field. We got the ball driving down on the last drive to win this thing. We have got to do this 1 inch at a time, 1 yard at a time, 1 door at a time, 1 call at a time, $1 at a time, 1 vote at a time. Because think about it. When would you have the privilege? Billions of people around the world couldn't imagine coming, gathering in this hall, and deciding to work our asses off to have a country that we want to see, a society that we want to see. It's a privilege. It's a privilege. 1 vote in each precinct in Pennsylvania could make the difference. That's how close this thing is. And you've heard me saying it is, we can find time to sleep when we're dead. That is not now. That is not now. We've got 11 days. You yourselves have got to vote. How many are already done? How many have voted? All right. Early vote if you can. Early vote if you can. Get out there. If you're voting by mail, get it in. If you're voting in person, iwillvote.com/PA. You know how to do that. Get to the polling places. All of those things matter. And if we talk to one person, again, talk to them about what's at stake. Talk to them that's there. For Christ's sakes, this coalition is so big, Bernie Sanders and Dick Cheney are buddies right now. Who knew? Who knew? They're not going to agree. Taylor Swift and Bruce Springsteen. There they go. So you got this is. Somebody asked me my favorite quote the other day, and I said from that great poet Bruce Springsteen, it ain't no sin to be glad you're alive, and especially right now. Right now. Don't get anxious. Don't watch the polls. Don't watch the news. Take action about this. Make a difference, and I guarantee you, the impact we make is not for 4 years. It's for 40. It's not for this generation. It's for multiple. It's not just for Pennsylvania. It's for the entire country and the rest of the world. We have that opportunity. So, look, for some of us, when we're old and we're sitting on the porch in the rocking chair and rocking, and somebody's going to say, what happened in that 2024 election? And you said, we kicked the crap out of Donald Trump at the ballot box. That's what happened. So, you know, the vice president says it. It's time to switch up her saying a little bit, because she says, when we fight, we win. When we vote, we win. Let's elect Kamala Harris our next president. Let's go.